When you were a little girl, what kind of stuff did y'all raise in the garden then? You and your dad and your mom.
We had cabbage, we had onions, we had beets, we had cucumbers, squash, Kentucky wonder beans, and the big spotted butter beans. They're called butter beans. Them things were big, purple and white.
Yeah.
And they raised kale, mustard, big curly leaf mustard. That stuff would grow great big leaf. Tender. That was the best. We made salad with it, cooked it, and we cut it up too with our lettuce.
Now, what y'all could you preserve it? Did you do anything to preserve it, or did you just eat it fresh?
No, we just ate it while it was season. We didn't. Mama didn't ever can anything. She never canned beans. Now she canned beans with vinegar.
Yeah.
But if you just tried to can a bean, you can't keep them that way. Just to cook them, put them in a jar. You got to pressure them, or use vinegar.
Yeah.
She made it with vinegar. It's pretty good. Have to drain that water off. And put fresh water on them. You cook them. Or when she wash it all off, season them up good. They were good. And then we raised cornfield beans. We raised peas, or whippoorwills, and the purple hull or blue hull, we don't want to call them. We had that. Crowders. And had hickory cane corn for our hominy. We didn't buy nothing from the store hardly.
Now, how'd you make hominy?
Lie. I could make it today if I had the corn. Put your water in your water kettle. She made it in a water kettle. See, and we had winters. We didn't have a hot spell in the cold, a hot in the cold. When it turned winter, we had winter.
Yeah.
We'd have it for a week and everything be froze.
Right.
Well, in the houses, they was open. Everything stayed frozen. So she'd make our hominy in a water kettle. She'd put that kettle about half full of water. I guess it was I don't know how much. I like that kettle you got mine. Or Glenn had it.
Yeah.
She had it about half full of water. And she'd put enough lye in it. When she'd stick that white corn cob down there, it turned that cob just as gold color as it could be. Just a gold color. And then when it got that way, we'd have this corn all shelled, and we used hickory cane. It was a flat grain about like your thumbnail. She put that hickory cane corn in that kettle, stir it, keep it boiling, keep that lye water boiling. Had to have a wooden paddle.
Can we turn that down a little bit?
I can turn it off. Don't need it on.
Okay.
Just makes more racket than it's good. You need this light?
No, it's fine.
Anyway, when she get that old wooden paddle, she'd stir that hominy. She'd take a grain of it up, put it in a little pan of cold water, and if that skin would slip off of it, it had that outside skin on it. It was kind of hard. And she'd rub that with her finger. If that come off, she'd say, well, it's time to wash. Then she'd go draining off that lye water. Have to add clean water. Stir it. Of course, you couldn't put your hands in it.
Now, was that just raw corn?
Yeah, just plain old corn out of the cornfield.
Just right out, and you shelled it off, and there it was. Okay.
You shelled it off. The cobs, put it in there. And I'd always had a white cob. Now, that hickory cane was a different kind of corn.
Yeah, I've got some of that. I bought some. I bought some hickory cane.
Well, that's what you make the hominy out of.
I've got some.
And it was on white cob. The cobs are never red.
Well, what I bought is already shelled off. It's shelled corn, and it's hickory cane. I've got some at home.
Well, if you had, I wouldn't have to tell about my life if I didn't have a white cob or something white.
Yeah.
She would, that's Lisa, she would, when that got that corn, the skin so much, she'd go put cold water and run it off till you get where she wouldn't eat your hands at.
Right.
Then she'd take her hands and just work all that old skin off of that corn, and then she'd boil it again. Boil it till beginning to get tender.
In fresh water.
Yeah, clean water, and it was just as white, just as white as snow. It was really, really good.
And then, how did she preserve it after she boiled it again?
Well, see, that's what I told you. We had cold weather. we didn't have hot weather like it is now. It stayed. She could just stay back there in our pantry, and it would stay almost froze. It was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It had the sweetest taste to it, fixed with that lye water. Muriel wore lye. I can just see I can right now. But she just put enough of that lye in that water till that corn cob, when she'd stick that white corn cob in the end of it, then it would just turn it real gold color.
Yeah.
And it was ready to put your corn in.
Huh.
But you talk about good. Now, it was really good. Had the sweetest taste to it.
Yeah.
We loved that stuff. And then when she went to cook it, she just put some out in the skillet or in a pan. Most times it's an iron skillet. We didn't have many pans cooking. We had iron skillets and iron kettles. And she'd put that, like a skillet full of that on, put some meat grease in it, and some salt and black pepper. That's what you always see.
Oh, you can't beat hominy. Hominy, I love it, yeah.
We love that stuff. And then we used parched corn for, like the corn nuts they have now you buy at the store.
Oh, yeah.
We put the shelled corn, put it in a skillet with a little meat grease in there, a little bit of salt, and put that corn there and start stirring it. And when it would get brown, if it's white corn, we usually had white corn. And then it'd kind of crack open. And when it did that, it was done.
I bet that was a real treat.
Oh, it was good. Boy, it was good. We didn't buy it junk. We
Well,
made all of our candy. We made our molasses candy with walnuts.
Now, back then, could you even buy, like, chips or something like that if you'd wanted
Never
to?
seen a chip.
Okay.
Never seen a potato chip. All I ever seen was post toasters, corn flakes, oats, and rice. That's all we ever saw back at the time when I was just a kid.
And that was probably around, what, 1930?
And before.
Okay.
In the late 20s. Yeah, I was born in 20.
Yeah.
About 25, 26, we began to have it. They had that kind of stuff. But now there wasn't. When you went to the grocery store, they didn't have refrigerators and nothing. See, there wasn't no electricity. There was no electricity, no paved roads.
So if you bought meat, what was it, like cured pork? Is that the only kind of meat they had, or?
What?
Like meat, if you wanted to buy meat at the grocery,
was
it
just smoked?
Just cured pork?
It was all smoked, and you buy salmon. You could buy salmon in a can. That's the only kind of meat I knew that you could buy in a can.
Could you buy beef?
Did we have meat?
No, beef. Beef, like
no,
cow.
I never seen a piece of beef till I was 17 years old.
Huh.
I didn't even know how to cook it. But it was good.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank Hayes would kill a beef. And see, when we married in 37, they still didn't have no electricity. They didn't have ice boxes and things to keep meat in. The people would meet the meat truck at the store if they wanted to get whatever they'd buy, and you couldn't buy fresh meat on that truck. They didn't have frozen.
It was just cured meat, huh?
Yeah, only beef you ever got was somebody kill one. They'd kill a beef and sell it out. Aunt Mel's brother.
Well, what'd you do with it if they sold it out? How'd you preserve it? Did you just cook it right then when you bought it?
They just go around and sell it enough to everybody have enough for one day.
Oh, for right then, okay.
Everybody just buy a big roast or the first I ever ate, Aunt Muriel Dickerson cooked it, and she just put it on, boiled it with salt in it, and then she put it in her, took it out of the broth, put it in her. Now they had an ice box. They had an ice box. They both put the ice in the top. And you put a few things in there. And she put that meat in that, down in the shells, and then when it got cold, she sliced it. Now that was good.
Did farmers raise beef back then, or did they just raise
they had
hogs?
Lots of cattle, but they sold them.
Okay, they sold.
Everybody sold their cattle to keep their farms going.
I got you.
Well, my grandpa had a big herd of, he called them linebacks. They were the biggest cattle. They were red with a white streak right down the back all the way, about that white.
Huh.
They were really pretty. But I never remember him ever. I know he sold them, but I can't.
Now that was over here, right? Your grandpa Dameron?
Yeah, he lived here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big farm over there. He had a big farm.
Yeah.
I think the Berries and somebody else has got that farm now.
Was he Henry Winfield Scott Dameron?
No, that was James Winfield Scott was my great-grandpa.
James Winfield Scott was your great-grandpa.
James Williams.
James Williams.
And I called him Will.
Okay.
That was my grandpa. But Winfield Scott, James Winfield Scott, was his dad.
Well, tell me the story about the dog that your Uncle Levester, yeah, and then I'll let you go.
Oh well, that was my great uncle. It was my grandpa's brother. His name was Levester, but they called him Vester, and some called him Harv, and they just called him different nicknames. But he never married, and he loved dogs. He always had 1 or 2 dogs at least. And he was living by himself over at Spout Spring, where my uncle had built a house. They had moved to Salem. And Uncle Levester was living over there. And my uncle, my mama's brother, Clyde, he'd come over to visit with him one day. He said he drove his car up out there by the Spring Branch. And said, Uncle Levester, he called him Harv, said he'd come out to meet me and said he had a crying. He said, well, Harv, what's the matter with you? Oh, son, he said, I got trouble. He said, well, what in the world is wrong? He said, well, son, old Belle died. That's my dog. She died. He said, would you help me, son? He called Clyde son all the time. I told him, yeah. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, well, said, I tell you what. He said, I've got her laying out here on a blanket, out here. There's a toe sack, is what it was. Got her laying out here on this sack. He said, I want you to help me. He said, you get a hold of one end, and I'll get a hold of the other. We'll layer up the wheelbarrow. So he said, he was crying all the time. He said, I got one end of the sack, and he got the other end, said, we picked her up. He said, oh, son, be easy with her. Todd said, he almost had me crying. He said, we got her in the wheelbarrow. He said, now, son, said, you push the wheelbarrow, and I'll walk in the front of it. I'll walk you up to the cemetery. He dug her grave on the hill above the house. I know where it's at right now.
Yeah, you showed me.
He said, I'll go in front of you. He said, now, please drive easy. Just don't. He said, drive easy with her. So they got up there, and they put her in the grave, covered her up. Said he just cried like it was some body. He said, I come on down. Said, I was about to crying too. Said, I didn't stay long. Said, I got my car. Said, I went home. But he said, I couldn't keep thinking about him being over by himself because he loved his dog.
Uncle Levester. Now that was your grandpa's.
That was my great-grandpa. Great uncle. Yeah, it was my grandpa's brother.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
See, there was James William. There was Edward. There was Howard. There was Levester. And there was George. Oh, Lizzie. Moretta. And Ollie Jane. They had 3 girls and I think there was 5 or 6 boys.
All that was the Damerons.
Yeah, she married back.
Yeah, so that was your mom's family. Your mom.
Mom's aunts.
Yeah.
No.
So what year do you think that dog died, that Uncle Levester buried that?
Oh, she buried right above the South Spring.
Yeah, but what year do you think that was?
Oh, I don't know. I imagine it was back in the 40s, 40 or 50s, maybe in the 50s.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Yeah, because Uncle Levester, I can't remember when he...
Well, see, Dad was born in 38, so that was after Dad was born?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Someday if you'll go with me, I'll go with you to Pleasant Grove, and I'll show you his grave, and you can get the date off of it.
I've been there with you. You've shown that to me. Yeah.
My grandpa and my grandma was buried there right by him, right up there close to him.
Yeah.
See, they were brothers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna end this one. I'm gonna end it here. But thanks for telling me that.
Oh, I love to tell you the stories. They're real.
Yeah. Oh, I know they are.
They're not makeup stuff.
No, I know it.